don't put too much stress on your first kiss. It'll happen, but like it gets better, more funnier, and like
yeah. And it only gets magical if you're actually in love with the person, like later on after you've kissed them a lot. But usually the first kiss.
True. I prefer women, but I want a guy to force himself on me. I am open to trans women doing the same, but I don't see too many of them wanting. Oh, some of them do like work off the side because like some of them are actually sex workers. So like there's never a shortage for someone to take a nice 40-year-old hairy man aside and take him. just really take him.
Is one last kiss, but she won't let me have it. I want to get over her, but I can't. I need help. Hey, this is Morgan Rector. Join me and my co-host Rosanna Chilton for the Confession Post podcast. ConfessionPost.com is a website where users post highly personal content anonymously for the reading pleasure of other users. On this podcast, Rosanna and I read confessions from the site and give our analysis. You can listen to the Confession Post podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Rachel Telfor.
And I'm Michelle Gower.
We are the hosts of a new true crime podcast.
It is called Children of the Void.
The Void refers to children who are missing.
And children who have died under mysterious and suspicious circumstances.
Sometimes parents know nothing about what has happened to their child.
And sometimes they seem to know more than they let on.
Like Casey Anthony.
And the John Benet Ramsey case.
We are determined to do our part to find missing children.
And the truth when the story of their disappearance doesn't hold up.
Together, we will blast the shadows with light so that no more children disappear into the void.
Children of the Void debuts in September.
Join us so we can all make a difference.
Please subscribe.
Until then, I'm Rachel Telfor.
And I'm Michelle Gower.
You can catch Children of the Void on Apple, Spotify, YouTube,
and everywhere else you get your podcasts.
Hi guys, thanks for listening. Thank you as well to those of you who donate to the Patreon account. I've launched a campaign to raise funds to buy a new iMac. My current computer has been in use for over 8 years, and it is affecting my ability to create new content. As previously stated, my Patreon account can be found at www.patreon, that's patreon.com/Leader1, Leaderone. For those of you who would prefer to make a one-time single donation, there is also the option to send money to my PayPal account. The email address to send it to is Morgan Rector, my last name spelled Rector, 331, Morgan Rector 331 at hotmail.com. Remember, any amount is fine. If $1 one time is all you wish to donate, it would be gratefully accepted. Thank you for all your support, whatever forms it has taken. Enjoy the show. Welcome, everybody, to the True Crime News. I'm Morgan Rector.
I'm Rachel Telfor.
Yes, and so this week we have... so I haven't put out the new episode yet, so normally we talk about the new one, but it's on its way. It'll probably be published either tomorrow or Wednesday. But yeah, it's about Griselda Blanco.
I'm not familiar with... maybe I am, and I just don't know that I am, so, like, give me, like, a brief... I didn't watch the trailer yet.
Well, you can imagine Tony Montana of Scarface, but as a woman, and she didn't get her hands as bloody as he did. She hired a guy like him to shoot people, but she was responsible for, they estimate, at least 200 murders, because she did not like competition, despite being one of the top, cocaine kingpins in the world. In Miami, she would not tolerate competition. So the Puerto Ricans and the Cubans, they were put out of business just because she hired this guy.
So she was kind of like the Queen of the South character.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, she was called like the most dangerous woman in the world, and she was pretty ruthless, that's for sure. So yeah,
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, she's from Colombia. Yeah,
Colombia.
Well, it's girl power gone in the wrong direction.
Yeah, right? I mean, come on, we're trying to do girl power, but but also, if you're going to do it right. No matter what you do.
Yeah, don't just have people killed.
Nah.
All right.
And I'm going to really quick, say, I'm hearing a giant thunderstorm right now, so if for some reason, well, never mind, Morgan can edit that shit out, but hopefully we don't, lose something in the middle of us talking.
Oh, yeah, because a hurricane is on his way to Florida. Which one is this?
No. It went to Louisiana. Poor Louisiana. Poor Louisiana. They got reamed last year. I mean, every damn hurricane, it's like they had a magnet on them. Literally right up the middle of Louisiana. And this was a Category 4 Ira that just went through. I had a couple friends that evacuated. Just really scary. But thankfully, no, we're just getting the bands, what we call them, the bands of rain from the offshoot of the hurricane.
Oh, so those are those downpours, the really heavy downpours?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they just come randomly, and then they go away. And typical Florida shit.
All right, well, from the violence of nature at its worst... First story is about, here's the headline. Meet Pazuzu Al-Ghurad, the Satanist who buried bodies behind his house of horrors.
Okay. Oh, wow. Oh. Oof. This is good. Go.
Yeah, single ladies. Your ears open. So the next time your neighbor does something you don't like, just consider yourself lucky that you never lived next to Pazuzu Al-Ghurad, a self-proclaimed Satanist. Al-Ghurad spent his days making animal sacrifices, drinking blood, and having orgies in his home. It was not until he was arrested and charged with murder that the nightmare came to an end. Not a lot is known about Al-Ghurad's early life. He was born John Alexander Lawson on August 12, 1978, in San Francisco, California. At some point, Al-Ghurad
had him pegged as a Californian, but okay.
Yeah, he came from Halloween by the Sea, so I guess maybe that's not a good. At some point, Al-Ghurad and his mother relocated to Clemens, North Carolina. Patricia Gillespie, who produced and directed the documentary series The Devil You Know about Pazuzu Al-Ghurad, said it was difficult to get a true grasp of his life, since he often reinvented stories about his childhood. As Gillespie put it, he told people he was from Iraq. He told people his father was some high priest, but the people who knew him as a child described him as a little off-kilter, a little emotional, things that might indicate the beginning of a mental illness, harming animals, consuming alcohol and drugs at a very early age. John Lawson's mother, Cynthia, spoke of her son's mental health issues, which started at a young age. He was diagnosed with several mental illnesses, including schizophrenia and agoraphobia. While Cynthia initially got Al-Ghurad the psychiatric help he needed, she ran out of money and was no longer able to afford treatment for him. So his mental health deteriorated pretty quickly.
That's sad.
In an interview for The Devil You Know, Cynthia said he wasn't by any means an angel, but he wasn't a bad person or a boogeyman or whatever phrases people have called him. In 2002, he changed his name to Pazuzu Ila Al-Ghurad in homage to the Assyrian demon referenced in the movie The Exorcist. An outcast in society. So after his name change, Al-Ghurad aimed to ostracize himself from society, covering his face in tattoos and filing his teeth into points. He would tell people that he regularly made animal sacrifices and even claimed to be able to control the weather. According to a psychiatrist, Al-Ghurad bathed no more than once a year and had not brushed his teeth in years, claiming that personal hygiene, quote, stripped the body of its defenses in warding off infection and illness. So what if you bring it with you? What if you're a magnet for it? God.
I feel like I've seen a picture of this. Well, yeah, I did because I watched that. Was it a documentary?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, so pointed yellow teeth. Or that's kind of gross. Hopefully he didn't Hopefully he didn't have any chewing tobacco.
Jesus.
So his behavior was a major rebellion against Clemens and its residents. The town was known for being heavily Christian. Vaguely similar to Charles Manson, Al-Ghurad drew others who felt socially excluded toward him and encouraged them to engage in debauchery. His former friend Nate Anderson would later say, he had a twisted sort of charisma. It's the kind of charisma that isn't going to appeal to everyone, but certain minds are going to be drawn in by that. The misfits, the outcasts, people living on the edge, or people who wanted to live on the edge. And like Manson, Al-Ghurad also had a way of attracting women. Amber Birch and Crystal Matlock were two of his known fiancées who frequented his home.
Two fiancées, eh?
Two fiancées, yeah.
Okay, well there you go.
Yeah, making out with the mouthful of horrors, yeah. So, House of Horrors. Pazuzu Al-Ghurad's house at 2749 Nob Hill Drive became a hub for those outcasts and misfits. They could come and stay for as long as they wanted. Al-Ghurad did not care what they did in his home. Activities at Al-Ghurad's home included self-harm, drinking the blood of birds, performing rabbit sacrifices, doing copious drugs, and staging orgies. Obviously, the house was in dire conditions. There was garbage everywhere, animal carcasses lying around, and blood smeared on the walls. It was dark and reeked of decay. Satanic messages and pentagrams were painted all over the property. Bodies in the backyard of Pazuzu Al-Ghurad's house. In October 2010, prior to any remains being found on his property, Pazuzu Al-Ghurad was charged with accessory after the fact of involuntary manslaughter. In September 2010, the body of Joseph Emmerich Chandler was discovered in Yadkin County. Al-Ghurad was accused of concealing information from investigators and allowing a murder suspect to stay at his house. On October 5th, 2014, 35-year-old Al-Ghurad and his fiancée, 24-year-old Amber Birch, were both arrested after the skeletal remains of two men were found buried in Al-Ghurad's backyard.
Where was the other fiancé? That was just one fiancé.
I don't know. Maybe I think they tend to have like a favorite fiance. They tend to stick
favorite fiance. I don't even want fucking one fiance. This bitch just got two. No, I'm good with that.
I think that's how it goes with the sister wives. There's usually there's a hierarchy. And
there's a I got you. All right.
I think the one that's been there the longest kind of is at the top. You know.
You know what? I'm gonna apologize ahead of time for laughing at all of this nonsense because at this point in my life, I have to laugh at it.
Yeah. Well, it's laughable, of course.
Thank you.
On October 13th, the men were identified as Joshua Frederick Wetzler and Tommy Dean Welch, who had both disappeared all the way back in 2009. Shortly after the arrest of Al-Ghurad and Birch, Al-Ghurad's other fiancée, 28-year-old Crystal Matlock, was charged in connection with the death of one person whose body was found. She was suspected of helping with the burial of Wetzler. It was later alleged that Al-Ghurad had killed Wetzler in July 2009, and Birch had helped bury his body. Meanwhile, Birch allegedly killed Welch in October 2009, and Al-Ghurad had helped with that burial. Both men had died as a result of a gunshot wound to the head. Soon after the remains were found on the property, county housing officials deemed the home unfit for human habitation. And
I would guess so.
yeah, big surprise, right? In April 2015, Pazuzu Al-Ghurad's House of Horrors was demolished. Neighbors couldn't be happier when it was finally gone. Pazuzu Al-Ghurad's suicide and aftermath. In the early hours of October 28th, 2015, Al-Ghurad was found dead in his prison cell at Central Prison in Raleigh, North Carolina. The death was ruled as suicide. He bled to death as a result of a deep cut on his left arm. The instrument Al-Ghurad used remains unknown. On March 9, 2017, Amber Birch pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, armed robbery, and accessory after the fact to murder. Tommy Dean Welch had reportedly been at Al-Ghurad's home, along with Birch and others. Prosecutors said Birch shot him twice in the head with a .22 caliber rifle as he sat on the couch. Birch was sentenced to a minimum of 30 years and 8 months in prison, with a maximum of 39 years and 2 months. Crystal Matlock pleaded guilty to conspiracy to accessory after the fact to first-degree murder on June 5, 2017. She was sentenced to a minimum of 3 years and 2 months, with a maximum of 4 years and 10 months in prison. Although few years have passed since Pazuzu Al-Ghurad cast a shadow on Clemens, the Satan worshipper continues to live on in infamy for his bizarre and horrific crimes in North Carolina.
Yeah, well, we don't want to talk about him and make him infamous, because screw that shit.
Well, it's...
Although, let me be morbid, I kind of wish the house was still there.
Well, yeah, me
totally go tour it.
See, I'm always fascinated by
Is that bad?
I'm fascinated by abandoned houses, but at the same time...
Oh, my whole life, Morgan, since I was a little girl. When I was little, I remember looking at abandoned houses and not being scared of them. I'm like, I want to go look through that shit.
Well, the only thing that would scare me, or at least in Florida, would be the kind of wildlife that would move in, because you do have poisonous snakes out there. And
I got you.
Yeah, they hide, and so you never know what might bite you in there.
No, I got you safe, but however, if there is a frog, then you're going to have to take control.
Oh yeah, you have to stay away from the frogs.
Yeah, no, you're going to have to step up, and I will literally run away crying and screaming.
Oh, okay, all right.
So I got snakes, you got frogs, I got lizards, I got all that shit. Alligators, you just take frogs and palmetto bugs. We're good to go.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I guess gators wouldn't be able to hide in there. I mean, I don't even know if they would want to be in an abandoned house.
Nah, probably not.
No, probably not. But snakes like to hide in things and surprise you. So, have you had that happen to you there in Florida, where you picked up something and the fucking snake was in there?
Numerous times. Let me tell you, my son likes to Yes, I'm talking about my children. Everyone get over it. My son is big into fishing, and he likes to cast net. So the cast nets, if everyone knows, it's just a big giant net of, plastic woven together to catch fish. So he's left, he's gone through 8 cast nets in the past 2 years, I want to say. A couple of them got caught on rocks. 2 of them, or 3, can't remember, we lost because he left it out on the porch and a snake got wrapped up in it and died. Therefore, mother has to go and literally cut out a freaking dead snake carcass out of a cast net. So that's life with boys. That's what I deal with.
Oh, yeah, dealing with nature, yeah.
Mm-hmm, lots of nature. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that guy is, let's just be happy he's gone.
Well, if I had a cult, I would, admittedly, I would exploit them for free labor. Like if I had a farm, they got to earn their keep, right? They can't just eat for free.
100%. Absolutely.
But they don't have
be smart about it.
They don't have to worship me, and I'm not going to use my power to sexually abuse anyone. And it's not going to be a religious situation, but,
Yeah, no, just do some work, man.
Yeah.
Earn your keep.
Grow my peaches and my cannabis plants, and,
I hope you're going to be south if you're growing peaches.
Yeah. Oh, and also, yeah, and they would get paid with a certain amount of weed as well,
Oh, that's cool. See, I could do that, yeah.
Get like a pound of weed with every harvest. So
There you go. See, we got it planned out. This is our
yeah,
commune. You guys are welcome. We actually need an invitation, so mind your P's
yeah,
and
that's
Q's.
the thing. Yeah. What's your
All
first?
right. We're going to go to Texas. Been liking Texas lately. This is Texas woman, 19 years old, charged with murder for allegedly burning a man to death. She also was accused of another murder last year.
Damn.
So a 19-year-old woman poured an, quote, unknown substance on a man before lighting him on fire, burning him to death, and injuring another woman. Houston police alleged in a murder charges announced on Monday. The teen suspect, Emma Pressler, has a fraught history, as was once accused murdering a disabled woman, though a judge eventually found no probable cause in that matter, according to the local media reports. Now police say she burned 33-year-old Devin Graham to death. According to police, the hospitalized victim said a woman entered the residence, poured some sort of substance on him, and lit him on fire in the August 6th incident. He later died. Carissa Lindros, 26, also sustained burns but survived, officers said. And this is a quote from the police. Witnesses reported seeing a white four-door sedan fleeing the area after the incident. The suspect is described as only a white female, 25 to 30 years of age. Further investigation led to the identity of Pressler as the suspect in this case, and she was charged for her role in the incident. Authorities ask anyone with information to contact the HPD Major Assaults and Family Violence Division at 713-308-8800 or Crime Stoppers at 713-222-TIPS. This is the second time authorities accused Pressler of murder. Authorities have said that she was the person who opened fire in a Cypress, Texas home last year, striking Sierra Rod, 20, according to KPRC. Neighbors reportedly told investigators they saw a dark-colored sedan and red pickup truck flee the scene after the alleged murder. Deputies also claimed to see a dark-colored sedan, a motorcycle, and truck heading toward the Rod home before the incident. Rod had lived with muscular dystrophy, according to KRIV, in a September 14, 2020 report. Investigators at the time asserted that the motive was connected to a feud between several people and Rod's 15-year-old brother. The teenager opened fire at the murder suspects as they fled, deputies said. Sierra's father, Michael Rod, told the station his son was, quote, torn up about what happened. Quote, she didn't deserve to go in any way like this, he told KRIV. She never hurt anybody. Always worried about what everyone else does, how they felt, end quote. So this bothers me because she apparently was indicted in another crime and then let go because they didn't have enough evidence in that murder charge, and then went on to murder someone else. So
Oh yeah.
this is
What was her motive again?
she okay, so it was a disabled woman.
Yeah.
There was no probable cause.
So
in that one.
The offender's disabled.
Her first victim
that's the
was
first victim
disabled.
was disabled.
Mm-hmm, correct. So the second one, they didn't really go into it because this just happened. She was just arrested. That's why I'm putting the phone numbers out there. I'm sorry, my brain is fried. Like that egg I tried to fry, but it didn't do. Anyway. So that's why I put the numbers out there, because this is a very developing story. I don't know if anybody lives in Texas or has any information regarding this, but there kind of wasn't a motive. It says that there was, back in 2020, at the time the investigators said the motive was connected to a feud between several people and the 15-year-old brother of the person that she killed back then. So really weird.
Yeah, it sounds. Yeah, I guess there's going to be a lot more information.
And she's 19.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, either something really egregious happened that incurred her wrath, or maybe she's mentally ill. But I mean, for a 19-year-old to do all that, that's...
I'm going to go with the latter, but that's just a
that's speculation.
guess.
But
That's just speculation and a guess for me.
yeah, well, maybe both, because
Perhaps.
maybe if, sometimes when people are abused, they can become mentally ill. That tends to happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You're correct.
Oh, and in terms of her reference to the egg, I invented this term called the Florida omelet. It's where it's a really hot Florida summer day, and you hold out like a frying pan with an egg, and the heat from the sun fries the egg.
So you guys, I'm absolutely retarded. And if anybody cares to watch the shenanigans that I'm trying to do on my flipping TikTok, what is my name? I think it's at rtel4. It's my first initial last name. So I tried to fry an egg because we've been talking about this on the pod. So I finally tried to do it. And so it was nice and hot. The best time to do it is like 2 to 4 in the afternoon. Sun is beaming. It was hot as shit. And I go out there. Soon as I put the damn egg out, I'm not kidding, clouds roll in. I'm just like, man, I really want to do this. Like, because when I put my mind to something, I want to follow through with it. So I was a little bummed out, but I'm not giving up. Stay tuned. It's going to happen.
So are all the windows on the new car, are they tinted as well?
They are not tinted enough.
Oh. Yeah.
They need to be darker tinted.
Because I was going to say, if the back window doesn't have any tinting, then you could just put it in there and then let the sun bake it like through the glass, like you do with a magnifying glass.
Well, that's going to be my next trial. If this doesn't work, then I'm going to put it actually on the hood, not the hood, but the dashboard, where the sun beams in like through the glass. And that is, I mean, I get in my car and I can't even hold the steering wheel because it's so hot. So I'm thinking that might be my next trial and tribulation with my cooking of Florida eggs. Stay tuned, everybody.
And
I'm not giving up.
And to think of how unpleasant that was, and then think of that kid we did a story about a week or two ago who was left inside a car like that.
Oh my God, exactly. God, Jesus. See, that's why I can't think about those. It just rips my heart out.
Oh, by the way, just a reminder to everybody, the new podcast, Children of the Void, will be published for the first time on September 1st, this Wednesday. So it makes its debut, Rachel's new podcast, with Michelle Gower as co-host.
We are super excited. I'm more and more pumped about it the more we talk about it and get into it. And I really, really appreciate everyone, all of Morgan's fans and beloved individuals that have been so supportive. You guys are freaking awesome. You're just badass. Morgan, you really attract amazing people.
Yeah, I feel like I do.
You know that? You really do. You just attract the best. Except for a few oddballs, but we'll get them.
Trolls, yeah.
Yeah, the trolls.
But, and on that show, they're going to discuss someone who's not quite so beloved, Casey Anthony.
That is our first case. We're going to dive into Casey Anthony.
That she brings out the Judge Judy in everyone. So.
Amen to that. And I think that show is going to be a little bit more. I mean, Michelle and I we get along great. We both have the similar personalities, but it's probably going to be a little more serious.
Yeah.
We'll add in our comedy here and there because I just probably can't.
Where appropriate.
Stop myself from doing that, but yeah, it's more of a deep dive into these cases. So I hope everyone supports and enjoys. And thank you so much, Morgan, for giving us this opportunity.
No problem at all.
Best, man.
All right, my next story. The headline is "Couple who made racist threats at black child's birthday sentenced to combined 19 years in prison."
What? Yeah. Say that again. Yes.
Yep. The couple made racist threats at a black child's birthday, so they're sentenced to combine.
I already have so many questions. Go ahead with the story.
Well, a judge has sentenced a Georgia couple to a combined 19 years in prison after they made terroristic threats against African Americans, including at a child's birthday party. CNN reported that on February 27th, 2017, 26-year-old Jose Joe Torres received a sentence of 20 years, 13 in prison for 3 counts of aggravated assault, 1 count of terroristic threats, and 1 count of breaking Georgia's Street Gang Terrorism and Prevention Act. His girlfriend, Kayla Norton, then 25, received a sentence of 15 years, 6 in prison, for 1 count of terroristic threats and 1 count of breaking the Street Gang Act. Judge William McLean called their actions a hate crime. The incident came on July 25, 2015, less than 1 month after white supremacist Dylan Roof killed 9 black churchgoers in South Carolina. Torres and Norton were involved with a group called Respect the Flag. Members rode around the Atlanta suburbs in a large convoy while displaying Confederate flags and yelling racial slurs. It's strange that a Latino guy would do that, right? I mean,
I was just thinking that. I'm like, wait, they're Hispanic and they're raising rebel flags?
Yeah, that surprised me. I expected that they would be both white people, but well, I know that some Latinos look like white people. Well,
there's all different colors of every race and everything.
Like in Mexico, I think Mexico is actually kind of a multiracial society. It's kind of like America. There are white Mexicans, there are black Mexicans, and Asian.
I mean, my work wife is Puerto Rican, and she's got a son who's very dark, and she's got a son who's very light. It just depends. It's just different, and you can't look at somebody and judge. But I also want to say, another friend of mine was going to Disney this weekend, and I'm sure people in Florida know there is a infamous, ginormous rebel flag. I'm talking, it is the size of probably my condo.
The Confederate flag?
Yeah, and it's on the side of Interstate 75, which is our main interstate. But it was at half-mast this weekend, I'm sure because of the members of the military we lost, and
oh yeah,
that was absolutely terrible. But please, for the Jesus, we all hate it.
So it's like the size of a billboard, huh?
It's bigger than a billboard.
Really? Wow.
It is the size of 4 billboards. It's the biggest flag I think I've ever seen in my whole entire life.
Wow. Well, I mean, yeah, there's a lot.
And it's on private property, so they can't do anything about it. But it's right off the interstate. So when you drive from where I am to Orlando, I think it's between. It's between there. I'm not sure exactly what city it's in, but it's right off the interstate, and it is just a force. And then directly across the street is this giant church cross.
Yeah.
So you're in some
Bible Belt country. Yeah.
Something.
Well, Florida's part of the Bible Belt, right?
I don't think so.
No.
I think we talked about this before. I'll Google it. Continue with your story.
Okay, so convoy participants got out of their trucks and confronted the victims on foot with weapons, including a knife, a tire iron, and shotguns. According to the statement, this is when Torres threatened to kill the partygoers while repeatedly using derogatory racial slurs against them. Torres, who had retrieved a shotgun from his vehicle, pointed his shotgun at the group of African-American partygoers and stated he was going to kill them, while his co-defendants stated that the little ones can get one too, referring to the young children at the party.
Wow.
Norton yelled similar threats at the victims as well. At this point, party guests began to flee the scene and call 911. When police arrived, they found a shotgun in Torres' vehicle, matching the description given in the 911 call. Later, police investigated Norton and Torres' online activities as well. Law enforcement was able to locate numerous posts and messages on Facebook indicating that members of the group were white supremacists who discussed attending KKK rallies, joining Skinheads Nations, or I guess it should be called Skinhead Nation.
This is so odd.
Yeah, and making numerous derogatory remarks about African Americans as a whole, despite the pair's professions of innocence in court. Once the pair was tried, convicted, and sentenced, the district attorney was careful to point out that the sentences did not have to do with displaying the Confederate flag. Whoops.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
My bad, everybody. That was definitely a mistake.
My kids have done that. Don't worry. It's fine.
I think I may have ADHD, actually. So
you're welcome. I've given it to.
All right, but are instead directly linked to the racist harassment and threats of violence the group directed at a child's birthday party. Many people tried to make the case about simply flying the Confederate battle flag. The district attorney said this case was about a group of people riding around our community, drinking alcohol, harassing, and intimidating our citizens because of the color of their skin. During sentencing, both Torres and Norton cried in court, while Norton tearfully said, "I want y'all to know that is not me. That is not me. That is not him. I would never walk up to you and say those words to you. I'm so sorry that happened to you. I am so sorry." Hyesha Bryant, a mother who was at the party with her kids, used her testimony to speak directly to Norton, saying, "What you said affected my life. It affected my children's lives." However, Bryant concluded her statement with incredible grace, saying, "I forgive you. I forgive all of you." Melissa Alford, the grandmother who hosted the 2015 birthday party, told HLN, "I think Judge McLean did what he had to do. I know justice was served." While Alford also expressed forgiveness toward Torres and Norton for their acts of racist terrorism, she too noted the impact the incident had on all the people present, especially the young children. She went on to say that 2 years later, the kids who were at the party were still confused and scared. She went on to mention that one of her grandchildren is white. How am I supposed to explain the difference between white and black when she doesn't see that? How are the other kids supposed to explain? Aside from Torres and Norton, 10 men and 5 women belonging to the Respect the Flag group were indicted for the incident, including Tommy Summers, who was sentenced to 4 years, and Lacey Henderson, who was sentenced to 2 years. The other members of the group were sentenced for misdemeanors or put into diversion programs.
Good.
Yeah,
Good.
and Norton and Torres were banished from Douglas County for life.
Well, I find it very interesting that they got up on the stand and apologized. No, don't apologize. Don't do that.
No.
Absolutely not. You don't get to get up there and say, what was the quote? I didn't want to interrupt you.
She said, "That's not us." She said something
Yes,
like that.
it is you. Yes,
Well,
it is you.
yeah.
Yes, it is. You
They
did
weren't
that.
They weren't apologetic at the scene when they were waving the shotguns around. And
That's not us, my ass. And it absolutely is you. And then also I want to mention, it really does suck. Children are not born with racism. They're not. They don't see color. I've experienced it because my children didn't know it until they were with peers who started talking about it. And then you have to have those discussions.
Or in my case, my grandmother.
Same.
My grandmother used the N-word, and but before that, like I remember watching Sesame Street as a small child, and they always had a multiracial cast, even going all the way back to '69.
Yep.
And I didn't, Gordon was black and Maria was Hispanic, and I just didn't think twice about it.
Exactly.
It didn't occur to me that it even mattered, but then people start talking about it, and
and we still have to talk about it now because because of what's happened in the past several years of the Black Lives Matter and all the things that have gone on. My kids hear about that at school, and I've had to have those conversations with them, and I'm honest with them. I'm like, listen, dude, this is what's going on, and you are better, and this is the way you treat people. And I don't want to get too into it because obviously this isn't what the show's about, but have those conversations with your kids. That's it. Talk about it. It's a thing.
There's this great video series on YouTube. They have different titles, but one of them is like, "What's the worst thing that was ever said to you?" And it's just strangers on the street telling these little stories. And one was a black man. He was in like a Burger King or something, and this little boy called him the N-word, and he's waiting for like the boy's father to correct him or something, and the man did nothing.
Yep.
So he just lets his son say these terrible things, and basically teaching his son that it's okay to behave that way.
And that still happens every single damn day.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
I'm not going to be part of that problem. My kids are going to be part of the solution, hopefully. So,
but
you know what? Also, what you said about Sesame Street reminded me. They did that. The Fred Rogers documentary recently.
Yeah, I still haven't seen
and
that.
Remember, oh my God. Okay, we'll have tissues ready. Just fair warning. Unless you don't cry like I do at everything. But he it was during when racism was at its height, and he had invited, the male guy was a black man, and he invited him in to wash his feet in a tub.
Oh yeah, because they had segregated swimming.
Yes.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh my God, because he's just like, yes, come in, like wash your feet with me. And they washed their feet in the tub together. And I was just like, I was bawling my eyes out. He was just a man before his time. Fred Rogers is one of my heroes.
Well, I know a woman who was once married to an African American man. And when he was young, I'm guessing it may have been like the 50s or something. So one day he goes to a public pool, and he was the only black person there. And when he got in the pool, all the white people got out. Like, can you imagine the humiliation?
Oh, honey, there's so many stories of that. But the problem is now that it's 2021.
Yeah,
there are still fucking stories happening like that. That's what disgusts me.
Well, I saw a documentary once about how the first integrated prom in Mississippi was in 2006.
See, that's just like that right there.
Yeah, and even some of the parents organized like an alternative prom that's white only as well.
Oh my God, I can't even deal with it. This is why I can't be around people, because my rage.
I mean, I don't want to pass a slur onto the Mississippians. Is that what they're called? I mean, I'm sure that if there are people listening to the show who are from Mississippi.
We're not generalizing at all. Yeah. And also, so northern Florida technically is part of the Bible Belt, from what I Googled. So I'm down in South Florida, where it's all shit goes. Everything goes. We don't know what's going on down here.
Well, Disney's the religion in Orlando.
Yeah, exactly. And in Florida, Southwest Florida, Miami. That's Miami. And then here we're just like, old people.
Yeah.
Who can't drive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And make me want to die.
Yeah.
So.
God's waiting room. Jesus. All right. What's your next story?
So my next story is actually out of Miami. And it is woman stabs husband, teen, self, toddler found dead in Northwest Miami-Dade. Give me a second. Let me clear my throat. Hold up.
Wow, that's quite a package deal. It's a combo order.
Sorry, I had to take a drink. A toddler is dead, and several other family members are being treated after being stabbed Monday evening in Northwest Miami-Dade. A law enforcement source told CBS 4 that the mother of the dead toddler had been agitated throughout the day. She had been repeatedly screaming that Jesus was coming and we were all going to die from COVID. The woman said everyone needed to be baptized immediately. She then tried to, quote, baptize the baby, and when her 16-year-old tried to stop her, the mother stabbed the teen, police said. The law enforcement source said the father tried to stop mom, and that's when he got stabbed. The woman then turned the knife on herself. When police arrived at a home at Northwest 99th Street and Northwest 30th Avenue just before 9 p.m. Monday night, they were met by a 38-year-old husband outside the home who had been stabbed. Quote, that's when a 38-year-old male stated that his wife had stabbed him multiple times. She was inside of the house when officers attempted to gain entry into the house. That's when they were met at the front door in the foyer area with the subject. She was taken into custody without incident. They did notice as they were taking her into custody that she did have injuries that appeared to be self-inflicted, said the Miami-Dade police detective Alvaro Sabaleta. She was taken to Jackson Memorial Hospital. Police also discovered that the couple's 16-year-old daughter, who had run to a neighbor's house to call 911, had also been stabbed. Both she and the injured man were airlifted to Jackson Memorial Hospital. Inside the home, they found fuck my life. Inside the home, they found a 15-month-old girl in serious condition with injuries. She was taken to Jackson North, where she died. Police said it's unclear if the girl was stabbed or injured in another way. Quote, the baby's injuries, as I mentioned before, we don't know. We'll go ahead and wait for the medical examiner's office to provide that, said Miami-Dade Police Detective Alvaro Sabaleta. Police also found there were 4 other children in the home at the time of the stabbing, all under the age of 11. They ran out when the violence began and were not harmed. Quote, all of the children are the biological children of the subject and the husband, the victim, the 38-year-old male, with the exception of the 16-year-old that was airlifted. She's the biological daughter of the subject, said Alvaro. Neighbors who described the woman as a loving mother said they were at a loss for words. She's not a loving mother, by the way.
Yeah, not so more.
They said, quote, she's a loving mother, so obviously she had to have snapped, said Ronnie Williams. One neighbor said hours before the stabbings, the woman appeared to be, quote, off and was talking about the COVID vaccines. Quote, the way she was talking to me and what she said to me about nobody should take the shot because God had revealed to her that anybody who took a shot was going to hell, said Thelma Sloan. Quote, of course, I'm very sad. I don't think she should be punished. I think she should be given help because she was not a person who would have done harm to her children or anyone else, end quote. Fuck that. Absolutely not.
Well,
that is not an excuse.
Not that it's an excuse, but I mean, when you think about the kind of trauma she had, becoming pregnant and giving birth is pretty much, I think it's safe to say it's traumatic for the body, right? It can kind of does damage, doesn't it? Really, I mean.
No, not in ideal circumstances. Obviously, there are pregnancies that do cause harm to the body. Yeah. But we women, since the dawn of fucking time, that's what our bodies are meant to do.
Oh yeah.
However, I will give her this: if she's been cooped up with COVID with her children.
Oh yeah.
In a long period of time, there's a lot of mental illness. That's a lot of stress.
But I think also, see, when you get into the whole issue of hormones, though, right, about how, like, a woman's body goes through, like, a hormonal roller coaster, right, during that whole process. And you got postpartum depressions is one of the psychological fallouts of it, right? But you see, I've heard a lot of stories of women who had a perfect record of mental health before having kids, and then they kind of went crazy afterwards.
They snapped.
I'm wondering if all those changes of all the, everything that the body goes through, pregnancy and birth. I mean, do you think maybe it's some?
No, I do not think this is hormonal. I think this is situational. Yeah. I think this is a situation of circumstances and being maybe cooped up with 4 to 5 children from what we read through the story, and being under an immense pressure, and not being able to tolerate it.
Well, I mean,
I don't think it's hormonal. I know I love you, Morgan. I love you so much to death, but guys like to go toward, it's their hormone. Yeah, our hormones are always there, and they're a pain in the ass. But I have hormone issues, but it doesn't cause me to stab the father of my children and all my kids.
Oh no, but I've heard of some women like kind of losing it in the sense of like not letting the father hold the baby even though he's not a threat to the baby. Like some mothers do seem to they crack up after they have kids. I mean, there are examples of that.
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily, and that too, I don't think is not. I was very protective of my children.
Sure,
when they were born, and I had to learn to let Dad do more than I wanted him to do. Like, he'd change a diaper and he wouldn't do it right, and then instead of saying, "Oh my God, you didn't do it right," I just go back behind him and fix it. Like shit like that.
So it's not because just looking around.
It's just that's you're a mom, and you don't know what that feels like until you become that, and then it's just ingrained in you.
So what's that moment like when you let someone else hold the baby? Like, are you like on edge? You're like, oh my God, don't.
Oh, with the first one, 100%. The second one, not so much. You're a little more lax.
Second one, you can juggle, right?
Yeah, you're like, okay, you can take the baby.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's what they said.
The first one, like, no, okay, you need to sanitize your hands 3 times, wash all of your body. You've held them for 10 seconds, give them back, and then the second one, you're just like, okay, just Yeah, take the baby.
Clear your mind for traffic space.
So actually, there was one final. So authorities said that the father and the 16-year-old girl are in critical but stable condition and are expected to survive, and the mother is also expected to survive. So we'll see what the charges are.
Well, one thing that is important for mental health is to get out of the house and to socialize, to have interest, have hobbies, because no matter how much you love your kids, if you're around them all the time, they could drive you batty. Not that it's
just take a walk, like get out of your house, guys. Like, yes, take a moment for yourself. That's so important, and thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Lately, I've been taking my children to the beach on the weekends when I have them, or even if I don't. Like last night, I went with a friend. We went to watch, well, quote unquote, the sunset, but it was cloudy. But still, just sitting near the water, that's my happiness, and that's my zen. Find your zen. Go sit next to a tree. Go outside. Go take a walk. Go just do anything. Get yourself out of your normal sitting in your house routine. That's very depressing during these times.
And believe me, if you're happy, that's good for your children.
Absolutely. That's very good advice. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you need to be that way. Okay. All right, so my next story is actually a bit of comic relief.
Thank God. Yes. Sorry, no. I always bring it down. You guys are welcome.
It's funny because in America, there are a lot of towns that are named after major Canadian cities, but they're always small places. Like Ottawa is the capital city of Canada, but this story comes out of Ottawa County, Michigan. So... Or parents.
I know of Ottawa County, Michigan.
Oh, you know about
I do.
That's parents ordered to pay thousands for destroying son's porn stash. The judge rules. So a Grand Haven couple has been ordered to pay $45,000 after disposing of their son's pornography collection. David Working, 43, sued his parents after they threw away what a judge called, quote, a trove of pornography and an array of sex toys.
Ooh, a trove.
U.S. District Judge Paul Maloney in Kalamazoo ordered Beth and Paul Working to pay $30,441.54 to their son and $14,519.82 to his attorney. Maloney earlier granted the son's request for a summary judgment but delayed a ruling on damages. The judge denied the son's request for treble damages, which can be awarded under Michigan's conversion statute. I don't know what that is. Maloney said that a defense hired expert in pornography evaluation, Dr. Victoria Hartman, determined the destroyed collection's value to be $30,441.
I'm sorry, is that her title?
Well, when in affiliation with the courts, it is, yeah.
What is her? What? Say it again.
She is she's an expert in pornography evaluation.
Can you imagine that? Hi, my name is Rachel Telfor. Yeah. I am a professional in pornography evaluation. Absolutely not. I would have no dates. Well, I don't have any anyway, but yeah, no.
Well, you would have to, I guess you have to know like the price of a flashlight and how much, if he still has DVDs, what each one would be worth.
Also, it bothers me that the definition of trove, which I just looked up, is a store of valuable or delightful things.
Yeah, like a treasure chest.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I guess in his mind it is, I guess. So Hartman could not provide a value for 107 titles on the Sun's list. However, given the wide range of valuations for individual pieces and the inability of Dr. Hartman to even estimate the value of these pieces, the court declines to use an average value to award damages for these titles. David Working valued the collection at $25,000, but asked the judge to triple damages for what his attorney, Miles Greengard, called the, quote, wanton destruction of the property. They contended that much of the collection could not be replaced. David Working had moved in with his parents in late 2016 after a divorce. When he moved out, he expected his parents to send his belongings to Indiana. A dozen boxes of pornographic films and magazines never showed up. In an email, his father wrote, frankly, David, I did you a big favor getting rid of all this stuff.
Nah.
No, he just got out of a divorce. He's going to need all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
I
it
mean,
looks
that's
like
just as bad as like ruining my Harry Potter shit, dude.
so it looks like this guy's going to be having Thanksgiving dinner by himself. I think.
Well, but maybe with $25,000. So
Well, yeah, I guess he could get an escort, someone to escort
yeah,
him to the Thanksgiving
yeah,
table.
that's unfortunate. I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, that's sad for him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know who's still using the DVDs by now. I mean,
True story. Can you
even
imagine having to go in like old school, like when we were? Well, I did because we were born. I was born in 1980, but like the people had to go into the porn stores and rent
back
VHS
room.
tapes. Yeah. Can you imagine how embarrassing that would be?
Yeah, you never went back there. I'm sure you never did.
Thank God we don't have to do that.
Yeah, the curtain and
Oh,
the men. They never looked like sleazy men though. There was always guys with suits and shit. But
I'm
yeah,
sure.
they went back there and but the thing is, like, what I remember was like porn VHS tapes and DVDs were fucking expensive. Way more expensive than regular movies, like $50, sometimes more. So the internet's definitely better for that.
Well, you can rent. You could rent them though, which was, I mean, like you could go. Didn't Blockbuster have like an X-rated
I don't think they
section?
ever did.
They did. There were like homeschool, not
Yeah,
homeschool, but like hometown, rental places though that had the XXX rated section where you had to go behind the curtain, and then everyone knew what you were doing, so you look like a freaking freak because I
yeah,
was young. It's just funny to think about. Now you
yeah,
just have it at your fingertips on your phone. So
yeah, pretty much. Well, yeah, hopefully you're not in public.
God bless.
All right, what's your next story?
Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania caretaker sentenced to 47 years for murder of beaten and starved 2-year-old found with antifreeze in his stomach.
Oh boy, well, I hope there's no apology to go with that one.
I sure as hell hope so too. I'm just prepping y'all for, Children of the Void. A Pennsylvania caretaker was sentenced to nearly 50 years behind bars for the murder of a 2-year-old boy who was in her care when police found the child starved and beaten in March 2017. Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner announced Monday. According to Krasner's office, Judge Glenn Bronson handed down a 47-year sentence to a 27-year-old Jediah Nesmith, who earlier this month pleaded guilty to charges of third-degree murder, endangering the welfare of a child, and the abuse of a corpse in connection with the death of Azim Jones Fearon. Under Pennsylvania state law, Nesmith is required to serve at least half of her sentence, meaning she will serve a minimum of 23.5 years in prison. That's not long enough, in my opinion. Azim's mother, who had been dating Nesmith in February 2017, asked if Nesmith would take custody of Azim due to a change in her work schedule. Nesmith agreed, and Azim moved into her apartment on a 7100 block of North 15th Street in the city's West Oak Lane section. Prosecutors said that after Azim relocated, his mother and Nesmith stayed in regular contact, but that on numerous occasions, Nesmith lied and told Azim's mother that the toddler was staying with her mother, who lived in the Poconos and couldn't be contacted by phone. In reality, the child was being subjected to horrific abuse at the hands of Nesmith that eventually caused his death. Assistant District Attorney Nora Nienhagen Greenberg said that in addition to brutally beating the toddler, Nesmith refused to provide Azim with food or water before ultimately abandoning him outside of her apartment for several weeks. On March 22, 2017, officers with the Philadelphia Police Department were called to Nesmith's apartment, where they found Azim's dead body, naked and emaciated, on a bed inside her home. The call to police came from Nesmith's ex-boyfriend, who said he saw the boy's body after Nesmith, it's hard to say after a while, asked him to come to her apartment and then offered him $1,000 Let me back up. Offered him $1,000 to dispose of the boy's body. Jesus fucking Christ.
Well, I almost said, is that it? But ultimately, I guess that's the wrong answer.
Oh, wow. She said, quote, "You got to get rid of something. It's the size of a loaf of bread." The ex-boyfriend told Philadelphia-based NBC affiliate news station WCAU. I'm like, "What do you mean? It's a baby." She said, "Yeah." "Whose baby is it?" She said, "Don't worry about that." An autopsy performed by the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's Office determined that Azim had likely died from, quote, "numerous physical injuries to the head and body, in addition to starvation and dehydration," Krasner's office said, adding that the medical examiner also said that Azim had ingested antifreeze, which was still in his system at the time of his death.
Jesus.
So fucking traumatic. Quote, "The criminal justice system can never bring back this beautiful 2-year-old boy." This beautiful 2-year-old boy's life, Krasner said during his regular Monday press briefing. "But I'm grateful to ADA Nora Nienhagen Greenberg for helping to hold this defendant accountable. I also cannot stress enough the important role that the public has been in notifying social services and law enforcement if you believe a child's life is in danger. By working together, we can protect the lives of our most precious residents and avoid terrible, heartbreaking tragedies like this." Kastner also encouraged anyone who suspects that a child is being abused to contact Philadelphia's Department of Human Services hotline at 215-683-6100. If you fucking see something, say something.
Yeah. Imagine,
it could be the difference between life and death for a child.
Can you imagine being a mortician and
No.
you have to be the one to examine a baby who's been murdered?
Nope.
That'd
Nope.
be.
Nope.
You want to focus on the task at hand scientifically, but you're still a human being, and so.
I mean, we're getting ready to do a podcast on missing and killed children, but it's something I'm passionate about because I want this to not happen. So the more you talk about it, the more it's in people's minds, and you're like, "Oh shit, that's weird. That's not okay." You call somebody, or not even a child, anybody, any human being that you see that you think is being abused. Do something about it. Don't be that person that moves your head and doesn't look, "Oh, they're going to be fine." No. Act.
Or
please.
If you see a child with someone and the child seems to be distressed and they're making a little hand signal to you where they're flapping their fingers toward their palm, that's their way of saying that they've been abducted and or abused.
I love that. I love when you told us that a couple episodes ago. That was great.
Yeah, I shared that video to the Facebook group. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
man. It's so heartbreaking. He was 2 years old. Just to go through the torture at 2 is just. I get verklempt. I get verklempt when I talk about the stories, but hey.
My next story deals with a baby that grew up but is now acting like a baby. Nirvana, Kurt Cobain's.
I love this story.
Baby is all grown up. He's all grown up, and now he's suing about the Nevermind art, saying the Nevermind art exploited me. So Spencer Eldon said to TMZ, "Nirvana exploited me when I was a baby to sell their music, but there is a person behind every image. I'm just asking the band to do what they should have done 30 years ago and redact my genitals from the image out of respect for my privacy." Now, first of all, I mean, I'll assume that they've grown since then, and if they haven't, maybe that's part of the reason.
Well, he's also, I think he's redone that photo several times since then.
Yeah, he's done it like 4 times. Like every 10 years.
Shut the hell up.
In 2001, they did it. He was 10 years old, and then they did it again when he was 21, and then 31, which is not that long ago for him. but now he's decided to sue.
Now it's going to bother him. Did you see what I posted with the Van Halen kids?
Oh yeah, this has backfired on him in the worst way.
So bad.
Making fun of him. So he said, if the world could forget about it, then maybe I could forget about it too. The baby from Nirvana's famous Nevermind album art is all grown up, and he's suing the band for child sexual exploitation. So he claims he's the naked baby famously pictured in a swimming pool on Nirvana's groundbreaking 1991 album cover, and he's suing the band, its surviving members, and Kurt Cobain's estate. 30 years.
He wants money.
Oh, yeah. So according to the lawsuit, he claims he could not give consent to have his image used on the album way back in the day because he was a 4-month-old baby, and said his legal guardian didn't consent to it either. So he says he's going even further in his suit, claiming the image is actually child pornography. They proposed to put a sticker on that part of the album, and Kurt Cobain, as a joke, he said, we thought about putting a little statement like, if you're offended by this, you must be a closet pedophile. Yeah, so yeah, the people did kind of, I think the record label was a little uptight about it, but
what do you think about? I mean, I guess that it's an interesting line, all right? But first of all, we've already forgotten about it. We look at that album as legend.
Well, 1991 was a time when I think people still allowed their children to like run around naked in the sprinkler at summertime, and
yeah, you normalize nudity, and then it's not freaking weird.
Yeah, like Parenthood is one of my favorite movies of all time, and it came out 2 years before Nevermind.
Right.
There's a scene where this little boy, he's like 3 or 4 years old. He's completely naked, front and back, but nobody thought, oh my God, what if the pedophiles see? Is this child pornography? They just thought, well, kids can run around naked and their bodies are not thought of as being sexualized. And so child nudity was just not something that people got up in arms about. So you do have to take into consideration the context of the times, and also, like we were talking about earlier, he did it 10.
Who redid it? So, like, if you were that uncomfortable about it, you wouldn't have recreated the photo 4 times. Yeah. And also, you're completely right. Are there sexual pedophiles that are going to look at that photo? Absolutely. But they're going to look at any goddamn thing you put out. The Gerber baby on a damn Gerber, commercial. It's just, first of all, we've already forgotten that. Like, you're so old news. But that album is legend. You should actually feel pretty goddamn privileged that I would be the goddamn baby on the cover of that photo, of that album. Are you kidding me? That's a damn shit. I'd be like, yep, I'm the baby on the cover of the freaking Nevermind album. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's epic. He just wants money.
Yeah. It says he wants Kurt Cobain's estate and the rest of the band members each to pay him $150,000. So they haven't given him any money so far, and I don't know if he even has a case, to tell you the truth.
I don't either.
I mean, it doesn't. If you can't remember it, if it's that far back into your life, how can you really be traumatized?
Although what's interesting to me in that story is that he said that his guardian didn't give approval, so that's kind of weird and shitty. Like, that could be a problem.
Well, maybe they were thrilled that their child got to be on the cover of an album that has sold something like 30 million copies.
But if they didn't consent, that would be a problem.
Well, from what I understand, the photographer heard that, Kurt Cobain gave them the idea for that concept, the album called The Baby Swimming a $1. And so he found out about a pool where mothers with newborn babies go, and apparently babies instinctively know how to swim. They forget eventually, but if you put them in water, they'll swim, and that baby was swimming. And so he just went and took a picture, and I don't know if the parents got a copy or not, but it was never a problem before now. It's funny because someone posted a joke about it saying Spencer Elden is still chasing that dollar. Let's not sell it. Chris Novoselic, who played bass, he posted an image saying, "Here's the new cover of Nevermind," and it was with the baby erased completely. It was just water with the doll.
I'm sorry. No, I'm not. That's funny as shit. Oh, that's great. Okay.
So yeah, this is not. He should have just left it alone. You know what I'm saying?
He really should have just left it alone, man. You drummed up a whole heap of shit to make yourself look real dumb.
Yeah.
Ay, Dios mío. Okay. We ready for my next story?
We are ready.
All right. Let's go to misogynistic ex-Old Miss student, Mississippi, admits to murdering Allie Costiel after thinking she was pregnant. Try to get away from some kid killing stories. More than 2 years after authorities found her body, Alexandria, quote, Allie Costiel's accused murderer has confessed, pleading guilty last week to the 21-year-old University of Mississippi student's 2019 killing. On Friday, Brandon Thiesfold, 24, who is also an Old Miss student, pleaded guilty to first-degree murder, acknowledging in court he drove Costiel to Sardis Lake in Oxford on July 20th, 2019, before shooting her several times. Strike that, reverse it. A court clerk confirms to People. Not people, my source.
Yeah.
Initially, Thiesfold was charged with capital murder. However, under the terms of last week's plea deal, the Texas man no longer faces a possible death sentence and will instead spend the rest of his life in prison. While he did not say why he murdered her, Thiesfold apologized in court for Costiel's killing. Quote, I am sincerely sorry for the pain I've caused while taking Allie from you, Thiesfold said, speaking directly to the victim's relative. My actions have forever changed your lives and my family's lives, he continued. I wish I could take it all back, but I can't. There is no excuse for my actions, and I have asked God for forgiveness. I hope one day that you will find it in your heart to forgive me. Into which I say, fuck you, you douche canoe.
More of these apologies.
Investigators learned that Costiel and Thiesfold met while attending the University of Mississippi. A former college housemate of Costiel's, Lauren Riddick, told People in 2019 they, quote, had a complicated relationship, an on and off one, but at no point did she say he was her boyfriend. On April 12, 2019, Costiel told Thiesfold she was concerned she might be pregnant. 2 days later, according to the Eagle, she sent him a photo of an inconclusive home pregnancy test. Authorities learned that Costiel tried convincing Thiesfold to meet with her for months, but he wouldn't, the Eagle reports. Days after the murder, on July 12, 2019, Thiesfold texts Costiel saying he did not want to meet with her and that she should just terminate the possible pregnancy. Then, on July 18th, Thiesfold texted Costiel asking that they get together. On Friday, Thiesfold's defense attorney told reporters the young woman was not pregnant when she was killed.
Oh my God.
Boom. Detectives used cell phone records to link Thiesfold to Costiel's killing and arrested him days later in Tennessee. The Eagle reports that authorities found a 2-page letter at Thiesfold's apartment after the killing, which he addressed to his family. It read, in part, quote, I'm not a good person. It is not your fault. Something in me just doesn't work. I've always had terrible thoughts. I've always had these feelings. I just kind of felt off. I think this is the end for me. I'm either going to prison or going to die. I know I'm going to get caught. During Friday's hearing, a statement from the victim's mother, Cindy Costiel, was read aloud in court. And she said, quote, I wish I had kept her away from this evil, callous, scheming, ungrateful, sinister, and violent and corrupt monster. He had every opportunity to do good in the world, but he chose to do evil. Brandon, you belong in jail each day for the rest of your life for the heinous act you committed to such a sweet soul in Allie. Every time your cell door slams shut, may it be a reminder for what you did and the life you took from us. In 2019, Cole Steele's friends spoke to People and said Thiesfold had little respect for women. Quote, he'd use his money to get things. He'd have 6 girls around the table, and he'd sit back and laugh at them like a pig. One of them, who wished to remain anonymous, said he was a super misogynistic.
So, sorry, did you say that he would take them to a restaurant and then order food for himself and then nothing for anyone else? Is that what you said?
He'd use his money to get he would have 6 girls around the table, and he'd sit back and laugh at them.
Well, I don't know what it says about human nature that he was able to get 6 girls. You know what I'm saying?
He was a probably raging narcissist and a misogynist.
Well, I mean, toxic men seem to have a way of attracting women.
Amen to that.
Or at least a certain kind of women.
Listen, I've learned my lesson.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's super unfortunate.
You know, they say suicide is not the answer or it's not the solution, but sometimes suicide is the appropriate action. I mean, if you're considering committing this kind of murder, maybe like he was considering, just take your own life. You know, that would be a noble act if you're convinced that you don't have it in you to stop yourself from killing someone. Maybe
he did not mean a goddamn word of that. That was all to get him a reduced sentence. He did not mean a fucking word of that. I will guarantee it. I will lay my damn pinky toes on it.
Well, he might want to commit suicide now that he knows he's going to be in prison for the rest of his life.
No, he won't.
No.
Narcissists wouldn't do that. Back me up, y'all. Back me up in the comments. Narcissists won't commit suicide. You know why? They're too into themselves.
Well, I wanted to ask the narcissist who used to be in your life, who shall remain nameless.
What one?
Well, the one you're still required to
yes
contact with. Did they spend a lot of time in front of the mirror in the bathroom, like prep, what do you call it, quaffing themselves and?
Yes.
Yeah, like more time than you, or almost as much time as you.
I mean, back in the day, I put a little more effort into my look, and now I just literally don't care. But yeah, I really want to be careful where I tread here. But yes, I show up to a sports game in a hat and tennis shoes, and the other person shows up in dress shoes. And
oh, really?
Yeah.
So they're really into the GQ thing, huh?
Yeah, and that's okay. That's okay. That's not.
Yeah.
That's all you. I just, it's not me.
Yeah,
Hence why we are not together.
Yeah, well, I mean, they certainly want to be highly regarded, and they want.
It's all about the image and about the perception and the public perception specifically. Everyone, you look great on the outside. You put on this aura and this facade, but then at home when you're with the close people to you, that's not the way it is. You're constantly berated and made to feel as if you're not good enough on a daily freaking regular basis. And that's exhausting until you stop it, which you can.
So you're expected to be like an extension of them to some degree?
Yep.
All right. So in my next story, occasionally you come across someone whose surname is very appropriate given what you know about them. So there's a woman in this story named Louisa Inez Cutting, and you'll find out why it couldn't possibly be more suited to her real name. So the headline is College Student Fatally Stabs Roommate After, quote, Doing Cocaine with the Devil. So Louisa Inez Cutting and Alexa Cannon weren't just compatible college roommates. They were best friends living in an off-campus apartment together until a January night of drugs and alcohol ended in, quote, doing cocaine with the devil and murder. 21-year-old Cutting, a Radford University student, pled guilty to second-degree murder on Monday and has since been sentenced to 20 years in prison. According to Yahoo, police were called to her residence at 7:45 a.m. Upon arrival, the police heard a woman making reference to a knife and were met at the door by a woman covered in blood.
Jesus.
The female turned around, placed her hands behind and her back, and stated, "Arrest me." When an officer asked the blood-drenched woman what happened, she said, "I killed her." When police entered the apartment, they saw a woman with multiple stab wounds on the floor with a butcher knife stuck in her mouth.
What?
Yeah. According to the Roanoke Times, Cutting told police that, quote, she was doing cocaine with the devil, but cocaine wasn't the only drug she was on in the day preceding her crime. She told officers she had also done mushrooms, Adderall, Xanax, marijuana, alcohol, and tobacco as well.
You know what? I was going to say, sorry to interrupt you, everyone. Don't yell at me. But when you first started this, I'm going to be like, there's no way that was just cocaine.
Yeah, no way, but it didn't help. Probably the mushrooms had more to do with it.
All of that combined.
Yeah. On the morning of her murder, a neighbor said she heard screaming and arguing, so he called emergency services. Commonwealth's attorney Chris Rayok explained that Cannon died of, quote, multiple sharp force injuries. According to Cosmopolitan, she was stabbed more than 30 times. Cutting was questioned at the police station and confessed, though she was also, as they say, rambling and given to a bizarre series of episodes. Here, Cutting stated that she had been doing cocaine with the devil. She also spoke of the apocalypse and recited the Hail Mary prayer in Spanish before she repeatedly tried to shove her entire fist in her mouth.
Okay.
Personnel consequently took her to a mental health clinic where she stayed for a whole week. Mm-hmm. After search warrants were filed for investigators to comb through the apartment, they found pills, grinders, several smoking devices, and a brown chalky material in the kitchen area. A post on Cannon's Instagram account reveals that the two roommates had met online before living across from one another for 1 year and eventually moving in together. One of Cannon's photos was eerily captioned, "Love you more, Lou, and everyone pray that we don't kill each other this year."
Oh, okay.
It's a little prescient. Cutting was a Redford University junior, as well as president of the school's Latino Student Alliance. She tearfully read a statement in court on Monday expressing her regret for killing the 20-year-old psychology major to Cannon's family. "There are no words for this tragedy, and my heart is filled with sorrow and grief. I am so, so sorry." Cannon was best known for her interests in art and music. The active social media user was recognized by friends and family at her January memorial for bravely navigating her epilepsy. Rayok said he worked with Cannon's family to construct the terms of a plea deal, which would reflect a complex balance of facts, trial options, and proportionality. According to ABC 13 News, the family focused on establishing a just sentence and removing the need for an extended trial. Perhaps more importantly, the agreement secured a murder conviction, avoided any appeals, and spared Alexa's family and friends the anguish and anxiety of trial. The Commonwealth also considered the impact and viability of defenses such as insanity, resistible impulse, and voluntary intoxication. So the defense attorney claimed Cutting had a mental illness and suffered a psychotic episode. Yeah.
Cutting.
She got they settled a 40-year sentence that will suspend the 20 remaining years after the first 20 are served. The plea agreement also ordered that she have no contact with Cannon's family and to follow any mental health treatment authorities impose on her during her term. She'll be on probation for a whole decade after her release in 2039. Yeah, so I mean, mental illness does tend to activate in the late teens or early 20s, and all those drugs can definitely trigger it.
Oh, 100%. But her last name's Cutting.
Cutting, yeah. Like, what are the odds, right?
That's not funny.
Yeah. It's an unfortunate
It's not funny. It's not funny.
coincidence, but it's like something out of a movie. Oh yeah.
That's so sad. Yeah, that's a mental illness for sure.
Yeah.
God, there's so much mental illness rampant.
Oh yeah.
Man, you're finding some good ones.
Yeah. I think I do.
You think you do? You do.
Actually, a lot of them come up on Facebook. Actually, because I'm a member of a few like true crime groups, and yeah. So
I should join more. I get a couple here and there, but
yeah, some good stories that come up on there. Yeah.
well, my next story is not a child abuse story, so you're welcome, everyone. Okay, I found one. Instead, we're gonna. Actually, I'm just kidding. There is a little child abuse in it. But the headline is 94 animals and a 13-year-old girl recovered from Indiana home. Owner arrested.
Wow, this is interesting.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Madison County, Indiana. An animal complaint led to a 58-year-old woman getting arrested and more than 90 animals, as well as a 13-year-old girl, removed from her home. According to Madison County Sheriff's Office inmate records, Nancy Clemmer was arrested on charges of neglect of a dependent/child and neglect of an animal. Not an animal, multiple animals. WXIN TV, citing a probable cause affidavit, reports the Alexandria Police Department had responded to 15 animal complaints at Clemmer's house since June 3rd. When officers searched Clemmer's home, they reportedly found animals wandering around the property, including pigs running towards State Road 9. Clemmer allegedly did not attempt to rein them in, the affidavit states. The Herald Bulletin reported Detective Brian Holtzleither wrote in the affidavit, quote, I observed 2 pigs running through the yard towards State Road 9. Nancy refused to help capture her loose pigs. The Alexandria Police Department spent the next 2 weeks chasing...
God. I thought it was just going to be like another crazy cat lady.
I'm sorry. I didn't read this all the way through. Okay, shut up. The Alexandria Police Department spent the next 2 weeks chasing the pigs throughout a several-mile area before they were finally apprehended on August 12, 2021. Clemmer, who turned her garage into a second home, reportedly hoped to run an animal rescue on her property. Yeah, good luck with that. According to the affidavit cited by WXIN, Clemmer's home was filled with trash and the floors were covered in animal feces. One officer reported he could not enter the home past the front door because, quote, odor and fumes emitting from the residence was overpowering. According to the Herald Bulletin, Holtzleither wrote in the affidavit, quote, the odor from the eastern 2 bedrooms caused a representative from the Madison County Health Department to vomit. The teenage girl living in the back of the house with Clemmer reportedly had feces on her and was not clean. She was reportedly placed in foster care. According to the Herald Bulletin, she is Clemmer's daughter. During their search of the house, officers reportedly found dogs in bedrooms in the larger house on the property. WXIN, citing the court documents, reported feces were, quote, spread across the floors like icing on a cake.
God.
That is a literal quote.
It's like a Turpin house.
God bless America. According to WXIN, police seized 94 animals. This included 1 pig, 30 dogs, 9 chickens, 4 turtles, 21 guinea pigs, 6 lizards, 2 parrots, 12 mice, 3 chinchillas, and more. The Herald Bulletin reports investigators found other dead animals as well, including a raccoon, a guinea pig, and baby chickens.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It was a zoo.
Literal fucking. And she wants to run a rescue? Yeah, no, ma'am. You are not rescuing anything. After the police visit on July 29th, the Madison County Health Department reportedly told Clemmer she had 14 days to clean her house and property after her house was condemned. The Herald Bulletin reports. Holtzleither reportedly wrote the property had accumulated more trash instead of the other way around. According to WXIN on August 13th, police went to Clemmer's house to speak with her about the health of the animals. When she didn't answer the door, they obtained a search warrant in order to take, quote, dogs which had not been immunized and animals which had been neglected, including but not limited to birds, dogs, cats, gerbils, pigs, goats, and snakes. WXIN reports the animals were placed with different rescues.
Yeah. Well, that's it's funny because I had a date with this woman. When I went to the town of St. Catharines, which is where the whole most of the Bernardo fall out. Anyway, she lived next door to these people, and they had 2 dogs which were kept tied up outside in the backyard, and they had a pig living inside with them. So the pig was an inside animal, and the dogs were on the outside.
That's so sad.
And they were swingers.
Dogs, man.
They were swingers too, trying to get her to have sex with them. Like, these were just. So I don't know. St. Catharines is a little funky, a little grody.
Yeah. And meanwhile, my giant fluff ball of a cat is sleeping on my clean laundry with all of his white hair.
Oh yeah, that cat's just luxuriating. Huh?
He gives 0 fucks.
He thinks he's royalty, huh?
Yeah, well, he lives like royalty.
Yeah.
I wish I was that cat, to be honest.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I had a cat that I used to love to lay on laundry and every other soft surface,
Yep. Every time.
Right. So my last story is so I've done these stories before about young men under the age of 18 having affairs with teachers. Ooh. Well, this is another one, but this kind of has another twist to it.
Okay.
So the headline is Pennsylvania teacher's aide shoots herself in front of 14-year-old boy she was accused of sexual assaulting.
Holy crap!
Yeah, so it's a nice ending to that story, huh? So yes, she killed herself while secretly meeting up with him, she was accused of sexually assaulting. Jenilyn DeRolf, 38, was arrested on July 15th after being accused of having a sexual relationship with a 14-year-old student at her school. According to the Bucks County District Attorney's Office, she was charged with felony accounts.
I'm rubbing off on you, aren't I?
All right, take 3. Felony counts of involuntary. Oh man, it's just like that when I record the usual episode.
I love you so much. Thank you.
She was charged with felony counts of involuntary deviant sexual intercourse, statutory sexual assault, unlawful contact with a minor, aggravated indecent assault, and institutional sexual assault, as well as misdemeanor counts of indecent assault and institutional sexual assault. How many variations of these are there?
I mean, how many goddamn assault charges can you have?
As well as misdemeanor counts of indecent assault and corruption of minors. So I guess that's just their way of piling it up to ensure they do it a lot of time. 2 days before the shooting, Falls Township Police Department had received a call from the boy's grandmother claiming her grandson was having a sexual relationship with his teacher's aide at Valley Days School. The victim was interviewed by detectives. He told them that the relationship began with them texting each other discreetly on a messaging app before they began meeting at Falls Township Park. He told police that their meetings became romantic in early June, claiming they had sex 3 times in July, twice in the area of Levittown Lake in Tullybound Borough, and once near a baseball field in Bristol Township. DeRolf was arrested and sent to Bucks County Correctional Facility on $900,000 bond. Executive Director of her school, Robert Phillips, said the staff member was immediately suspended and not allowed to enter the building or have contact with students, the Bucks County Courier-Times reported. According to its website, Valley Day is a private school targeted at students with histories of acute learning, adjustment, behavioral, and/or emotional needs that are obstacles to achieving success in less restrictive
See,
school
that's
settings.
even more fucked up.
Yeah, he may have been like a special needs student or
Well,
something.
obviously he was. He was in a
Yeah.
school with. Oh my god! You know what?
Like maybe like mild autism or something.
Mm.
The defendant's conduct is not only reprehensible but criminal. She not only violated the trust required in any student-teacher relationship, but also that trust that children should be able to have in all adults of authority. She will be held accountable for her criminal acts. She was released on bail on July 23rd. But on August 22nd, Falls Township Police received yet another call from the boy's family, asking them to perform a welfare check after they discovered DeRolf had secretly contacted the teen and arranged to meet him. But as officers converged on the meeting place, DeRolf pulled out a gun and shot herself dead as the boy watched. Upon the arrival of the police officers, DeRolf committed suicide with a firearm, the police chief said. The boy was not injured. DeRolf had been due to appear at her preliminary hearing in October. The case remains under investigation.
Oh, that
Did I tell you
child.
Did I ever tell you about the story about the teacher at my high school having an affair with a student?
I don't know if you did.
Yeah, so she was 19, but it's the law.
The teacher was?
No. The student was 19.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
The teacher, but nevertheless, doesn't matter. The law just states that the teachers are not allowed to have those kinds of relations with the students.
Correct.
But they had an affair on the down low, but then one day, I think maybe he broke up with her or something, but she showed up at the geography department office, and she just threw this big like meltdown, like a Fatal Attraction meltdown, and she's just crying and screaming, and everyone figured out, it wasn't because of a bad grade, obviously. And,
Yeah.
So yeah, he got fired. He was terminated.
Wow, you never told me that. That's pretty intense.
Yeah, and I think he also had an affair with like this girl that I went to high school there with as well. Like, it took place like the summer that she graduated, so she was no longer a student. But it seemed to be like that was kind of in development before the school year ended. So yeah, he was
A complete douche canoe. Yeah.
yeah using the student body as a meat market, I guess.
I love, by the way, just so y'all know, Morgan in text messages does now use the term douche canoe for me, which I love.
That's for radio.
It's only for me, but I like it. And Michelle does too, which I love her. So we may use that in our pod.
Well, just to be clear, so it means like someone's paddling like over the waters of
I haven't really dissected what it means, to be honest. I don't even remember when it came to me. It was a couple of years ago. It was just I don't know if I heard it in passing, or I don't want to say I made it up, because obviously I'm not going to be that egotistical.
The rest of us are not comfortable being douchebags, but if someone's a douche canoe, it means they're
they don't even care.
Yeah. They go with that tide, and that directs
they're like rolling over it. They're just owning it. Like, you're so douchey, you're like a douche canoe. Like, you're just fucking rolling over.
Like, you're doing all the rowing. You're just
That's amazing. That's perfect. Oh, Jesus, that's great. And on that note, we're gonna go into my last story.
All right.
Speaking of douche canoes, let me clear my throat. Chandler Halderson, charged with killing his mother, told police, quote, "I didn't feel bad about what I did. And you'll be very proud of me because I got this from the FBI website."
Oh, nice.
Yes, for the first time.
Those are reliably dark, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. 23-year-old Windsor man charged in the kidnapping, slaying, and dismemberment of his father. So he previously was charged with this, of dismembering his father. And not the same guy I did the story on last week. So I checked. Is now also charged with doing the same to his mother, according to an updated criminal complaint filed Tuesday, which quotes the man as telling a detective he, quote, "didn't feel bad about what I did." Prosecutors say Chandler Helderson spun a web of lies after reporting his parents, Bart and Krista Helderson, missing on July 7th, when he said they didn't return from a 4th of July weekend trip to their cabin in northern Wisconsin. Bart Helderson's torso was found a day later in rural Dane County, and 6 days after that, investigators found remains later identified as Krista Helderson's in Sauk County. The amended complaint says the remains recovered July 14th on land owned by the State Department of Natural Resources along the Wisconsin River included additional remains of Krista Helderson. Even before investigators had found any human remains in the case, Chandler Helderson had been using his Google account to search terms including, quote, body found Wisconsin, quote, woman's body found in Wisconsin, quote, Wisconsin dismembered body found, and, quote, dead body found in Wisconsin, according to the updated complaint.
Yeah, they're always
fucking idiot.
Yeah, they're always obsessed with the media coverage. Like a lot of the serial killers I've covered, they always look in the papers, like William Bonin, I think it was, and what was the child killer that you were really horrified by? Wesley Dodd, I think it was.
Yes.
He collected newspaper articles and
all of the articles, and I'm like, but you're Googling this, you ignorant douche canoe.
Yeah.
God.
Casey Anthony did that.
Dumb. Yep. Yeah, well, we're going to cover that. Yep. Helderson was arrested on July 8th on initial charges of lying to investigators. He remains in the Dane County Jail on $1 million bail. The amended complaint doesn't provide any clues about why he might have killed his parents, but instead details investigators worked to locate and identify his parents' remains and statements he made to investigators immediately before he was arrested. According to the complaint, Helderson went to a Dane County Sheriff's Office precinct to report his parents had left with an unknown couple on July 2nd for a trip to the family cabin near White Lake in Langlade County and had not yet returned. A little more than a day after the report was filed, investigators found several discrepancies in his story, including a claim Bart, 50, and Krista Helderson, 53, planned to attend a parade in White Lake when there was no parade happening. The Langlade County Sheriff's Office also found, quote, no signs of immediate activity at the family cabin. A family friend and co-worker of Krista Helderson also reported that Krista didn't show up for work on July 2nd and that the absence was not prearranged. Authorities on July 8th searched a property in the town of Cottage Grove where Helderson had been seen driving his parents' Subaru near a wooded area 3 days earlier. Helderson had shown up to the property, which belongs to the partner of his girlfriend's mother, and asked to go swimming in the pool. He was gone for more than an hour when the partner noticed him return dry and the pool cover still on. The partner said he saw Helderson with a Subaru near a shed on the property, and he eventually returned to the pool. Helderson appeared, quote, to be washing off, and he looked like he was paying attention to anyone else around. Dane County Sheriff's detectives searched the area near the shed, eventually finding Bart Helderson's torso, wrapped in pants, a black belt, and a nylon black robe. The search of a nearby tank revealed a pair of scissors, a saw blade, and the handles of what may be bolt cutters. That same day, Helderson went to a neighbor's house to ask if the home's doorbell video camera could, quote, capture the road or my house, end quote. After the neighbor told Helderson police had already come to download the video, Helderson asked if it captured anything. Later, a Dane County detective interviewed a friend of Helderson's from Kansas who said he left a rifle for Helderson when he visited on June 12th and 13th. The Dane County Medical Examiner's Office determined Bart Helderson had been shot once and killed before being dismembered. Sheriff's officials report on that day Helderson had taken into custody. He made a number of unsolicited comments and, quote, spontaneous utterances following an interview at the Public Safety Building in Madison. Halderson had just asked for an attorney, and after being told he was being arrested, told a detective he wanted to, quote, go back up and would, quote, tell me everything. The detective then explained that because Halderson had invoked his right to an attorney, the interview was over, to which Halderson responded along the lines of, quote, what if I want to tell you everything with an attorney there to guide me? And then again later he said, wanted to tell me everything. Halderson became wide-eyed and told the detective, quote, you don't know the whole story. When the detective told him investigators had new information in the case, and when during the course of completing a booking questionnaire, the detective asked if Halderson was feeling suicidal, he said he didn't feel bad about what he did. Investigators say a map recovered from Halderson's girlfriend's phone helped him find the location of Krista's remains, roughly across the river from Prairie du Sac, and that a person reported seeing a man matching Halderson's description walking in the area with a backpack on July 3rd. The complaint doesn't explain why the map was on the girlfriend's phone. Investigators say a search of the Haldersons' garage on July 28th turned up 2 cell phones and Bart and Krista's IDs hidden in a pair of shoes. Case is still ongoing.
Yeah, they're going to throw the book at them, that's for sure.
Well, he killed his parents and dismembered them.
Yeah.
Literally dismembered his parents.
Whatever became of just old-fashioned estrangement.
I mean, just go away.
Yeah, just stop talking to them.
What is happening? Why are all of these children like, well, I can't even say that because then there's a bunch of freaking parents that are killing their kids.
Yeah, it seems to go both ways, right?
Jesus. We really need betterhelp.com.
Well, they say, during COVID, child abuse and domestic violence in general has gone up. So if people need space. They need to air out their relationships to some degree, you know?
I mean, I truly do need space. So
yeah.
But I'm not going to kill anybody.
Well, yeah, you see your boys every other week, and so that's balance, you know.
Well, it actually kills me. I hate that I don't get to see them every week. But yeah, I mean, it is nice to, it is probably best for me to have downtime. But yeah, as soon as they leave, I immediately miss them.
Oh yeah, okay. But when they were always around, did that kind of start to frazzle your nerves a little bit?
Immediately when they come back in the house, but I love it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, also, I don't have any hairless cats to snuggle me anymore, so I'm very lonely.
Oh, yes, that's right. Now you just have the one who likes to get laundry.
Exactly. So everyone wants to talk shit. Morgan needs a new computer, so please donate. And the people who are talking about this, saying that whatever the fuck they're saying, go suck bags of dicks. Okay, the man is working his ass off. And he really does need a new computer.
The IRS really screwed me. So they're
real bad.
Taxing people who don't even live in America. I'm getting $1,000 less per month for my YouTube ads because the IRS were given new powers to collect taxes. So actually, that should be a word of warning to all Americans. Don't be surprised if you're suddenly receiving new tax bills because the government's going to try to get as much tax dollars as they can.
Amen to that. And I'm also donating and have donated to Morgan. So if you like what you're hearing, even if it's not me, donate to Morgan. Thank you. You're welcome.
Right.
Well, on that note,
yeah, thank you to everybody for listening, if you've been listening to this.
We appreciate you all.
Yep, and most of the feedback's positive, so I don't want to... I don't want to acknowledge. I want to acknowledge that's the case.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. We're going to focus on the positives, and we're going to keep pushing forward, doing what we do. Like talking about horrible parents and child abuse,
especially in Children of the Void.
Yes, and look forward to Children of the Void. I'm excited about it.
That's right. Well, on that note. That's all for this week. So on behalf of myself, Morgan Rector.
And Rachel Telfor.
Have yourself a great week.
Keep it positive, y'all.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.